Okay, so I am at Belomorsk, and going on to find my next quest. So let's go here, and maybe there's another quest connecting to that boat. Okay, and this town is empty. At least there are no survivors. I noticed a large ship in the port in the distance. I might as well check it out. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, let's go in here. So the quest is called Icebreaker. Maybe I have to break something in here. Alright. Icebreaker of Death. If the survivor dies during the text quest, the quest will restart. Let's start. As soon as I came close to the port, I saw it. A giant icebreaker lying on the ruined pier. The ship was listing, its stern entirely in the water and the prow pointing upward. I decided, despite the danger, to enter it and try to find something. Some useful items or maybe some answers to my questions. Alright, let's go inside the deck. Okay, the holes in the ship hulls left me in no doubt. The stern was completely flooded. I went around the deck, picking my way across the wet flooring. If I slip and end up in the water, I'm going to have a hell of a time getting out again. I can go up onto the ship's bridge, look around the cabins on the foredeck, or go down into the bows of the main deck. The lower decks were blocked off by falling grillage in the crash, and the stern is under water. Okay, let's go look around first. Let's see. Most of the rooms on the foredecks are unlocked, but there's nothing of interest inside, except in the wardroom. I saw a dead body lying across the passageway, and the door to the boiler room had been pulled off its hinges. Let's go to the wardroom. Nice. Got these extra equipments. Examine the wardroom closely. One skeleton stood out from the rest. Firstly, because of the scraps of clothing revealed that this was a senior officer, probably the captain. And secondly, because it didn't have a head. Well, it had a head, but whoever had cut it off had placed it under the captain's arm and even put the captain's hat on it. Oh, that's just gruesome. Something gleamed a couple of paces away from the body. A tiny key. Pick up the key. Most of the rooms on the foredecks are unlocked. Okay. Go to the boiler room. More skeleton. Right. The boiler room was very small. It was probably a backup or auxiliary one, and there was a dead body in here too. Judging by the skeleton's size and clothing, it belonged to a large, broad-shouldered man, probably an engineer or mechanic on the boat. And given the number of holes in the boiler's room and the boilers behind him, a whole shower of bullets had been unleashed on the dead guy. In his pants pockets, I found matches, small change, and a crumpled piece of paper with a 4-digit code on it. Okay. Alright, I got the wardroom. Let's go to the bridge. The bridge is home to the con room, the radio room, the pilot room, the generator room, a small hangar, and a storeroom. There doesn't seem to be anything out of the ordinary here, but in the corner of the con room, a first aid kit had been turned upside down, and its contents, a pack of pills, small bottles, and salves, are scattered around. A hammer and a chisel are lying next to the storeroom, as though somebody tried and failed to break in. Okay. Carefully examined it. I looked over the wardroom thoroughly. I spotted a lot of barely visible stains on the floor and flattened clumps of black cotton waddings. There was a dirty bandage on the control panel. Strange. A detailed deck plan of the icebreaker was fixed to the aft wall. The frame's glass had been smashed and the floor below the frame was sprinkled with small shards. Okay. Let's examine the storeroom. The security lock on the storeroom looks very robust. It was very stupid to try to chisel it off, and the door is well made. Whoever tried to break in spent quite a long time trying. There are deep scratches and nicks in the surface. Looks like somebody came at it with an axe. How about enter it? The storeroom contained nothing that warranted taking a chisel to the lock or taking an axe to the door. There were only empty shelves and empty boxes. To be fair, there was a dusty scuba set on a special stand. The gag showed that there was some oxygen left in the tank. An underwater flashlight was attached to the suit by a cord. It worked, but the light was extremely faint. Take the scuba set. How about the foredeck? No, I already went there already. The bridge? No, main deck. Did I read this already? Yeah. Main deck. Let's go to the bunk room. No, the infirmary. Oh. In the bunk room, I came across two dead sailors. One was doubled over on the floor, and the other was sitting with his head resting against the bed. I spotted a note and pencil on the bed. The sailor had drawn something before he died. It looked like a butterfly. I flicked back through the book and saw the messy lines of diary entries. The paper was damp. Most of the pages were stuck together, but I was able to read certain pieces of text. Let's read. September 22nd, 1984. I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes. When the cap said that no one was leaving the ship and ordered us to settle down, Theodore stuck him with a knife, and then those bastards started shooting. They had knives and guns, and we had nothing. Me and Rommel ran. We hid in the infirmary. They were hardly going to look for us among the dead bodies. I was terrified. I'm afraid to even think about Theodore might have done to the poor captain. So I guess the people inside just rioted and killed the captain. They started the engines. The ship is moving. What the hell's going on? The Icebreaker ran into a pier of some kind. It's a miracle we survived the crash. Now I get it. Belomorsk. Those scumbags want to disembark. October 6, 1984. It's been 2 weeks since they left. They didn't leave us any food or water. We've been lying in the bunk room for days on end, waiting for somebody to come. I keep thinking I can hear voices. The captain, the first mate, the senior mechanic. Their bodies, unburied, decaying, are all around us. A ship of dead. Okay, let's go back. October 8th. Rommel asked me to kill him, but I couldn't do it. Then he tried to slit his wrists. Ooh. But the blood barely trickled out. He went crazy and threw himself on his knife, straight into his gut. But his suffering didn't end there. He only went quiet after several minutes. It's time I did the same. Suicide. So that's how they died. Some things are becoming clear. At least I now know how this story ended. But how did it start? Why did the captain forbid anyone to leave the ship? Why did Theodore and the others mutiny? Where did the bodies in the infirmary come from? I think the ship log will help me answer some of these questions. It's either be in a deck house or in the captain's cabin. But the Icebreaker is vast. I won't be able to find the captain's cabin without a deck plan of the ship. Okay. In the Icebreaker's bow, there was a spacious bunk room and infirmary. After that, there was a pharmacy, canteen, okay. Infirmary, how about that? I stumbled across plenty of dreaming scenes since the day I woken up in Nickel, and this was probably one of the bone of the worst. It wasn't an infirmary, it was a tomb. I couldn't count the number of dead. I think there were over 50. It looked like bodies had been brought here on multiple occasions and just tossed on top of each other. I can't even imagine how stomach churning the smell of decay would have been here. Oh, that's pretty disturbing. Okay, let's go to the foredeck. The bridge. The main deck. What? I'm so lost. The bridge. Okay. I looked over the room thoroughly. I spotted a lot of barely visible stains on the floor and flattened clumps of black cotton wadding. There was a dirty bandage on the control panel. Strange. A detailed deck plan of the Icebreaker was fixed to the aft wall. The frame's glass had been smashed and the floor below the frame was sprinkled with small shards. Let's find the captain's deck. The ship's deck plan had darkened with age, and some of the labels were difficult to make out. To make matters worse, there was virtually no light coming through the room's broken window. I spent almost a quarter of an hour staring at the blurred contours. If the ship's plan is correct, then the captain's cabin is located in the submerged aft part of the main deck, between the account office and the library, third door from the end of the port side. Okay. Okay, so we found what we're supposed to do next. Put on the scuba set and turn on the flashlight. I checked the oxygen level in the tank again. Less than a third left. Looks like I only get one shot. If I don't find the captain's cabin, I'll have to come back empty-handed. Okay, so what should I do? Swim along the corridor on the main deck's starboard side. Swim along the corridor on the main deck's port side. Go down to the lower deck and swim along the starboard corridor. Go down to the lower deck and swim along the port corridor. Okay, so I think I'm going to choose number 2. I think it was port side. Yes! Got it. Alright. I swam along the inky black corridor to the very end, shining the wavering light of the underwater flashlight on the door signs. Found it. The captain's cabin. It turned out that the water was only waist deep inside the cabin. An air pocket there was a safe on the table. I pulled off my breathing apparatus and opened the safe with a key. I found the wardroom. Inside was a revolver, a shelf of papers, and on top of that, the things I'd been searching for. Read the captain's log. September 7th, 1984. Dima, the second officer, died today, and another 6 men are suffering from the fever. I called for the doctor, but he was at loss. He said it was unknown infection, but the usual drug weren't helping. He thinks the crew picked it up on the shore, live in Archangel. I met with the senior officers and assured them that everything was under control. We're heading straight back to Archangel. An epidemic is the last thing I need right now. Okay. So, I'm guessing the crew got sick. Some form of epidemic happened in the boat. And the captain didn't want them to disembark and spread them around the city. So that's why the captain decided to have these men stay on board, but they didn't want that, and they got crazy and killed them. September 12th, 1984. The ship has turned into a living hell. 30 bodies. The cold storage is full. Where will we put up the new ones? Half the crew are running a fever. We quarantine them as best as we can. In the infirmary, the workshops, and the office cabins. The radio operator said the Archangel port was closed. Apparently, there's been some kind of disturbance in the city. The crew were furious. I thought it was going to be mutiny. We'll try to reach Belomorsk. September 18. I'm ashamed to admit it, but I don't know what to do. Belomorsk has told us we can't disembark. They promised to send doctors, but they haven't materialized. Who would want to come onto a plague ship and then spread the disease to the rest of the city? Men are dying by the dozen. Only myself, Fyodor, the bosun, and Orlenko, the senior mechanic, are left of the officer's corpse. There's a pile of bodies in the infirmary, and no one can bring themselves to burn them. The men have lost their heads. There's unrest, insubordination. It's all gone to hell. I don't know what to do. September 21st. This morning, Fyodor came to me. He clearly been drinking, and he started demanding that I give them boats to go ashore. I refuse. We have no right to subject the city to the risk of infection. Fyodor went ballistic, making threats. I had to put him in isolation. He'll sober up and realize he was wrong. Oh, they're going crazy now. There was nothing after that. Just the next date. September 22nd. It all adds up. September 22nd, according to the sailor's diary, was the day Fyodor and his pal attacked the rest of the crew and cut off the captain's head. Then they abandoned the Icebreaker, breaking the epidemic to Belomorsk. What happened to them after that? I don't think I'll ever find out. The mystery has been solved. There's no reason for me to stay on this ghost ship any longer. I'm unlikely to find anything new in Belomorsk. I need to head straight to Leningrad. I'll stop off at Petrozavodsk on the way, although I doubt I'll find any survivor there. Okay. Ooh, it's a long way there. Wow, that's over 300. Okay. Well, I guess the quest is solved in a way, and I have to go all the way to Leningrad. But it's gonna be a long way, and before that, I'm probably gonna loot this area before I go. So thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you like if you like it, and I'll see you guys next time.